Chapter 21, A New Movement. Bordering the Great Jura Forest was the Count territory of Falma's kingdom. On this frontier existed those willing to protect the area. Their main forces consisted of a knight order under the control of the Count. Although the members usually only consist of 100 people, the Count declared a state of emergency. Those who had retired were recalled, and the numbers were now nearly 3 times than the usual, with 284 people. The next largest force here was the adventurers from the Freedom Association. They had taken requests to hunt monsters threatening the land in the vicinity. However, this was not an urgent matter. And, naturally, they finished the request without any difficulties. To serve as lookouts around the Count's territory, mercenaries were hired. Although some were talented, many were still just novices. Thus, when the monsters started to move, they all were employed to scout the surroundings. However, in reality, they didn't treat their work seriously. The main cause of which being the fact that Count Nidalmagam had been stingy with money used to employ them. So, who can subdue the monsters if the Free Association didn't take the request? Normally, it was the job of the knights. However, fools. When the knights leave the territory, there is a chance for the cities to be attacked. Who will protect the town? So, the frightened Count did not permit their dispatch. Money was a problem. Moreover, the knights could not move in order to protect the town. Further, complaints came from villages. They complained about damage caused by monsters that neither the adventurers nor Count did anything about. However, the association in this case can't receive a subjugation request due to a single rule. The circumstances involved did not allow it to so easily accept. After all, if you're going to hunt for rank B+ monsters, multiple adventurers of the same rank are needed, at least 3 or more people. Even if 10 adventurers with rank B tried to subdue it, even if they were successful, there would surely be casualties. Furthermore, just because a sighting was confirmed, it didn't mean that the subjugation can begin immediately. Normally, there was not many rank B+ adventurers stay at the frontier. The problem was that monsters would appear too frequently. Thus, they were unable to effectively move between requests. They'd receive the request, subdue the target, and then come back. The time involved between each step became a problem. To patrol the village, an organization responsible for subjugation was necessary. In response to these circumstances, reluctantly the Count Nidalmagam set up an organization. He called it Frontier Garrison. Its member consisted of 30 people. Moreover, they mostly consisted of criminals charged with trespassing on private property, disorderly behavior, or small-time violent crimes. So, it's actually a facility for small miscreants. A correctional institution. They were servants of the knights, at times, and they served as opponent for the knights' mock battle. Thus, their service was meant to rehabilitate them. They choose a person among them as their captain, or rather, they were forced to choose and were sent as guards of villages. For Count Nidalmagam, the plan looks appealing because it not only can solve the village's problem. Even if they had died, his wallet wouldn't suffer. It's the extent of his plans that he's doing, but, Fumu, sly dog. Well, to gain our freedom, we should accept it graciously. The man named Yamu said. Due to his appearance, originally, he had not wanted to merely end up as a small miscreant. He hoped he can become the boss of the backstreets slums, but it seems the world didn't let this man take the center of stage. Later, the frontier guards led by him showed remarkable results, and he became the frontier village's savior. Fuse. Belonging to a small kingdom Burman, he was the Freedom Association Burman branch guild master. His former ability as adventurer was upper rank A. He was a remarkable adventurer. As he promised to Baron Belliard, he immediately conducted his own investigations. As a result, in response to a report from the information section, it seems there were no movements in the Empire. But it didn't mean that the Empire wouldn't move later, so he had concluded. Thus in the future, they should continue observing the Empire. It's not work that they normally do, but there was no other choice. It's his decision. Then, the news from the investigation team was received. When he entered the room, he slowly sat on the sofa. Their confidential discussion was set to be held in the drawing room. On the sofa facing him sat their 3 people, 2 men and a woman. They were adventurers with a B rank. Excelling in covert operations, Guido. With his job as thief, is a man with excellent information gathering skills. Outstanding in defense, Cabal. With his job as heavy warrior, fighter, his role was that of the tank. He enjoyed goofing off, but was polite when working. Specializing on particular magic, Ellen. With job as magic spell user, sorcerer, skilled in diverse magic, but excellent with movement-based magic. Carefully providing support in order to increase the survival rate of the party. They were all noteworthy individuals. They were the team that was ordered to inspect the cave where Voldora was sealed. His first thought was, please come back safely. To begin with, the proper level of that cave was rank A. Actually, he wanted to do it himself, alone. But, because of his responsibilities as the guildmaster, he cannot move freely. Meanwhile, the other rank B+ adventurer were not asked to inspect the current situation of Voldora. The reason they were requested was because of their high survival rate and high information gathering capabilities. Rather than during subjugation, if they were sent to collect information while avoiding battle, their abilities surpassed those of other rank B adventurers. However, if something were to happen to them, it would be his fault. It was an obvious violation, since him as the branch chief himself had ordered them. But it was absolutely necessary for them to check. That is why, the one who most pleased with their return was Fuse. Let's hear the report. Fuse never showed emotion in discussion or during questioning. He was grateful in his mind, but he didn't express it in words. The trio were familiar with this trait. All I hear is, wasn't it tough? I want to quickly take a bath. It was tough. It was hard to mediate the quarrel between Datta and Ensign. I thought I would be easily trampled to death. That was their typical reaction when reporting their findings. However, their faces were serious. And then they started the report. Battle with monsters in the cave. The Guardian, having deceived the storm snake's, Tempest Snake, senses, they removed the seal on the door and entered. Confirmation of the disappearance of Voldora. Inside the door, they investigate for about a week, but could not confirm the presence of any living thing. And, the most curious detail, that after we concluded the investigation on the inside, the storm snake was nowhere to be found. That's right. Since I can't use any withdrawal-type magic indoors, I spent many hours planning our escape from the storm snake, but it was all pointless. I was just thinking that I'd be able to mix illusion magic and heat manipulation as a decoy. But, no, on a serious note, I worried that, although we were able to get here, we won't be able to get out, but that's what they reported. Heck, what was that thing? That was a monster of rank A. It was the strongest presence inside the cave. Probably, I would not win on my own against that monster. That was precisely why. The probability of success in this mission was greatly reduced. Fuse thought so. Again, what is happening in the land? At the moment, that was not something to think about. So Fuse concluded. Well, you guys. Have a nice break for 3 days. After that, once again, I want you guys to investigate the forest this time. It is not necessary to enter the cave. I want you guys to investigate the surroundings thoroughly and carefully. So, go. I'll go. See you. What? 3 days? Give me more rest, please. Hey. Anyway, I guess it's useless, no matter what I say. Although they said those things, Fuse did not care. It was more important to organize the information they brought. Heck, what was happening in that forest? Fuse was deep in thought. When he opened his eyes, his mood changed. He glared at the 3 people. What you guys doing? Get out. Saying that, he drove off the trio. Sakaguchi Hinata was bored. Assigned to guard the inside of the palace of the Holy Rubiarian Kingdom, she was her private chambers, alone. This world was boring. When she first came to this world, Hinata was still 15 years old. On the day of her first-year high school entrance ceremony, she was on her way home, but didn't particularly want to come back. When she passed by the shrine she always stopped by, a strong wind suddenly blew throughout it. The wind forced her eyes shut. Once she opened them, an unfamiliar scenery had spread before her. Hinata rejoiced. Her mother was a religious addict, and now she had been released from it. Her father had long ago disappeared. He lost great sums on horse races and left them with an enormous debt. Mother fled to religion because she couldn't withstand the beatings from father. After careful planning, Hinata killed her father as to help her mother and receive life insurance money. After a bit more, the insurance money would be paid out. The secret had not been exposed. Thus, her father was treated as a missing person. Thank goodness. Oh well, if you think about it, in this state it seems necessary to commit another murder. To murder the zealot who pushed her mother into religion, and sooner or later, and her own mother. Hinata was calmly analyzing the situation. That's why she didn't want to stay at home. In this place, there was no need to kill anymore. She thought so. Oi. There's one here. Oh. A young woman. Good job. Before we sell her, how about we have a taste first? While speaking such words, some men had surrounded Hinata. Even in this place, there is a need. The world was full of despair. So she thought. The world was full of ugly people, that kind of world, I shall destroy it. I shall take it. I will surely usurp it all. I am righteous. There are no faults in my calculation. There never have been. That will never change. Suddenly, my vision became clear. My hazy mind cleared and my mind got sharper. In front of my eyes was someone that wanted to steal from me. I'll steal from them instead. Their life. Thus, a slaughter took place. By the hands of a girl, the time she took to kill the 3 men didn't exceed 5 minutes. The physical abilities of the girl who just got her powers was still not really high. With cold eyes, she evades the opponent's attack with minimal movement. She grabbed the collar of her opponent and without hesitation gouged out the opponent's eyes. Hooking her finger in his eye socket, she pulled the legs of the groaning man down and slammed his head on the ground as he fell. She pulls out the knife from the fallen man's waist and stabbed his throat. Now, 1 person down. The other men were stunned by the situation and, without waiting for them to put their guards up, she grabbed sand and threw it at them. The sand entered their eyes, causing 1 man to momentarily go blind. She landed a kick on him. The man fainted. Without a second glance, she went around behind another man and shoved the knife through his back, into his heart. As intended, it pierced the heart through the gap between the ribs. She pulled out the knife and gushing blood tainted Hinata. Pleasant warmth of blood. The men, of course, could not comment, being dead. But there was one who was still alive. Hinata approached the fallen man and squatted down near him. He was terrified, but still alive. Still, there was a possibility that they had more companions. She grabbed his hair and lifted his face up. And used the unique skill usurper. Memory and techniques. All of it was taken from the remaining wreckage of a man. Hinata glanced at him and stabbed the knife into his neck. Even though she kills, she knew basic mercy. It was her first murder in this world. From the people she killed from then on, she took their knowledge and techniques. Now, with the techniques as the foundation, she became a strong person in this world. From then, 10 years had passed. Other than that, she didn't remember the people she had killed. Good guys, bad guys, Hinata killed them equally. Because everyone were equal in front of God. Ridiculously, over here she can kill all of them. So, over here, she was no longer a normal girl. Completely remembering the murder. Leader of the Imperial Guards under the Pope's direct command, she was a beautiful woman that holds the title of Holy Knights Leader. That's why it now became impossible for her to move as she wanted. Please someone, raise a rebellion somewhere. She thought such a thing. And then, someone knocked on her door. Excuse me, His Holiness Cardinal Nicholas Speltas came to visit you. Do you wish to meet him? What should I tell him? Nicholas? Sure, he was attached to me, let him in. Hinata decided to meet Nicholas. She was going to kill some time with her faithful dog. Hopefully this will kill some time, with a smile of a saint, so she hoped. Chapter 22, The Adventurers Who Finally Arrived. There were adventurers preparing to investigate the forest. They were B-rank adventurers Cabal, Ellen, and Guido. With monster activity worsening, even the merchants have avoided entering. With protection fees rising, the trip would no longer be profitable. Thus, to cross the forest, one would have to proceed on foot. And in the first place, as no carriage could approach the cave of the seal, any trip would inevitably continue on foot. When they had finished some preparation and were about to set off, a single person called out to them. Pardon me. If you are heading towards the forest, could I not perhaps accompany you halfway? Was the voice feminine? Masculine? Young? Old? That you couldn't figure out. Nor could you see the person's expression. For some reason, that person wore a mask. An expressionless, but beautiful, mask. The stranger emitted a suspicious aura, but should be fine. Hey. You. Before the leader, I gave permission, seriously, what the hell? Really? Well, now that Nissan gave her okay, there's no use arguing, is there? The three accepted the stranger without a second thought. "I am grateful." After saying those three words, the suspicious stranger silently followed the trio. Thus, Cabal's group of three obtained a new companion and set off on their investigation. Tontenkin Tontenkin. Kadian. Kadian. Done. The forest was filled with the sound of cutting wood and blacksmith's hammer. The foundation of a new city is being laid, and new houses are being built. At first, to lay the plumbing, they had avoided building any houses, and it was but empty land. For the waterway, they redirected the water from the river. It's under construction, but they plan on constructing a building for water pipe control. There, the water will be purified and distributed to every household. As for drainage, it will be directed into an underground sewage. As it is made from wood, we decided to preserve it by hardening it in cement. And, leading away from the city, it will end at a facility where it will be reprocessed into manure. Furthermore, we temporarily erected a building the size of a gymnasium on the outskirts. It serves as temporary lodging art. And as such, it's not made to last. All in all, the construction proceeds smoothly. Near the cave, at the seat of honor, I planned on placing my dwelling. From there, we'll first build the houses of the clan lords, followed by that of the commoners. As I want to get it right, the initial map was drawn with utmost precision. Drawing a cross, with large roads running through the city, this plan is best for overseeing the denizens' behavior. But it is easier to attack. TL long note for the curious mind. What this plan made me think of is of construction of high-end Kyoto, modern Kyoto, and Edo, modern Tokyo. I have a feeling that it is those examples that Rimuru is referencing. Kyoto was planned to resemble the Chinese imperial city and thus constructed square. It had two main roads running through it, leading to the seat of honor, the imperial palace. Edo, on the other hand, imitated the construction style of castles and, using rivers, was thus made into a spiral. In terms of defense, while both were well-known styles, Edo was considered superior. In any case, seems like having the goblins evolve into hobgoblins was the right decision. They quickly developed superior intellect and memorization. Also, their constitution and strength improve. According to the dwarfs, goblins are ranked F, but hobgoblins are monsters deserving a CD rank. In any case, I should probably treat them with the same respect as humans. In short, their rank varies. Equipment and armor, individual class and skill, and other such factors greatly affect the rank. I mean, individual strength depends on the individual, right? The four ordained lords, for example, are stronger than the rest. And Rigurdo, whom I crowned king, oh. You have spent your time here. I was looking for you. What a monster. Is all I want to say. He's huge and muscular. Compared to an ogre, he's not just similar, he seems stronger. Or so Cajun said. Thus it seems that evolution is affected, not just by a name, but also by the class. Truly, monsters' capabilities are wondrous. Probably should try bestowing a few more titles to test this theory. What's up? A. We have captured suspicious individuals, so I came to report. Suspicious? Of which monster race? Not monsters, they are humans. As you have commanded, we did not lay our hands on them. Humans? Why all the way over here? Humans, huh? Finally, the opportunity I was waiting for. Have to start on friendly terms. Well, if they are like those idiot adventurers from before, I'll dispose of them or turn them into monster snacks. They were assaulted by a group of giant ants and were saved by Rigger's defense squad, who then took charge of their protection. There is evidence that they were investigating these lands. How shall we respond? I see. Seems like investigating on behalf of some country. I checked with the dwarfs, but Jura Forest is not any country's property. Thus, there's a good chance they are investigating the lands on behalf of an expanding country. If that's the case, that complicates the matter. Well, I'll decide after meeting them. Alright. I'll meet with them. Lead the way. Having so decided, I jumped on Rigurdo's shoulder. Since Ranga moves around too quickly, moving on him is troublesome. This is no different from walking, but my low eye level bothers me. Besides, when trying to appear dignified, having people look down at you, literally, is counterproductive. But it's all an excuse. Rigurdo, with me on his shoulder, walked to the captured adventurers. So, what kind of people are they? As I thought so, before my eyes, which I don't have, of course, I saw, hey, you. I saw that first. You're terrible. I was aiming for that meat. Dana, I shall not yield when it comes to food. Mogu mogu, munching sound, I heard a boisterous group. To my silent question, many apologies. Somehow, it seems that all their items were stolen, so we decided to prepare a meal, and this, Rigoberto is pretty nice guy, it seems. Nah, isn't this fine? Actually, well done. Treating those in need kindly is a good thing. I praised his actions. More importantly, they, without consulting me, decided on a course of action they thought best. That, in itself, is a wonderful thing, I imagine. Henceforth, as to not cause Rimuru-sama any trouble, we shall further devote ourselves. Well, he's still damn formal, though. After that conversation, we entered the tent. To be precise, the people guarding outside opened the way in. And all the eyes fell on me. With their mouths full of meat and vegetables, adventurers. Their eyes opened wide at the sight of me. However, it seems that they aren't aware that their surprise showed itself. Haven't I? The trio of the cave. But one of them, I have never seen before. Wearing a mask, how is he eating? Mogu mogu slowly, at his own pace. But, barbecue. Cool, I also want to taste. Nostalgic me-chan. Wouldn't taste buds just fall from somewhere? Oops, my mind seems to have wandered in a strange direction. Rigoberto let me down at the main seat. Dear guests, although we cannot offer better hospitality, please make yourselves at home. Before you is our lord, Rimuru-sama. Having so introduced myself, he took the seat next to me. Gakuri, the sound of them swallowing what they were eating and drinking resounded. And, what? A slime. Mogu mogu, they're surprised. But really, to react in the same way, oh well. Pleased to meet you. I am the slime Rimuru. Not an evil slime. Boo. They responded to my greeting by spitting out food. However, the one wearing the mask seems to have kept his composure. What a rude bunch. Seems like they've been greatly surprised to see a slime talk. Well, I do understand the trio's surprise, but I'd rather they contain the food in their mouth. So, what kind of people are they? It would be good if they were decent folk, but, well, after having regained their composure, that was rude of us. We never would have imagined to be saved by demons, but we are in your debt. Yeah. We work as human adventurers. This food, very delicious. These days we've been doing nothing but running, never having a decent meal, truly, thank you. Thanks. We're in your debt. However, to think that hobgoblins were building a village here. Gohagoho, Gusu, Gakugoku. Well, at least they aren't panicking. Well, take your time chewing, we can talk when you finished. Having said that, I waited for them to finish their meal. They really should have just called me when they had finished, seems like they can't be so considerate. Well, they did get flustered, but that'll serve as practice for future encounters. From what I imagined, entertaining human guests, prisoners, is certainly outside of my expectations, not that I can do anything about it now. And, maybe because I was feeling a little unpleasant, I exited the tent. When they finished with their meal, I had them escorted to the tent placed closest to the cave one for my personal use. Rigoberto seemed very apologetic, but, well, don't sweat it. Just learn for future reference. So I comforted him. The goblins are growing. Can't expect everything to be perfect from the start. Having entered my tent, I felt at ease. Rigoberto had his goblina subordinates bring us tea. Seems much better compared to what they brought out before, but, unfortunately, I can't taste it. To see improvement even here, how amusing. This is clearly a sign that they are evolving as a cultured race. Now, time was spent on this and that we apologize for earlier rudeness. While saying so, the four enter. It's a simple tent, so feels narrow. At the same time as the goblinas that show them and leave, another set comes to bring them tea. See, I don't know when, but they've improved greatly in this respect. When night comes, while drinking with the dwarfs, I do know that they discuss their lives and cultures. Well, then. Once again. Pleased to meet you. The lord of this place, I am called Rimuru. For what reason have you come to these lands? That question would fall within their prediction. After all, they had plenty of time to discuss what answers they'll give. The pleasure is mine. I am Cabal. For now, I am this party's leader. This is Ellen, and this is Guido. Would you understand if I told you? We are B-rank adventurers. Pleased to meet you, I am Ellen. Yo. Guido's the name. Pleased to make your acquaintance. As I thought, these three are a party, huh? At a B rank they are moderately strong, but the cave would be impossible. Now then, the other one is. And this one has joined us temporarily for the journey, named Shizu-san. Call me Shizu. A voice that wouldn't show whether the speaker was a man, a woman, an elder, or a child. But I can tell gender apart with ease. For me, who can tell goblin sexes apart, this is a piece of cake. It's a girl. Furthermore, if I am not mistaken, isn't she Japanese? That's the feeling that I get. The way she sips her tea and the way she sits. Since I don't know much about this world, I can't be certain, but surely that sitting posture is rare, right? Currently, the other three are sitting normally. Sitting on the wolf pelts, the males have crossed their feet. The girl named Ellen also relaxed and reclines horizontally. If I think about it, aren't these guys letting their guard down a bit too much? Isn't there a sense of danger in this world? But enough of pointless chatter. Need to get down to business. How polite. And I'll summarize the conversation. I heard their story. These guys, without any restraint, they spilled the whole story. So, on the orders from their guild master, they needed to come to the forest and investigate if any suspicious happenings were, well, happening. In any case, he says to search for anything suspicious, but what should we call suspicious and what normal? Huh. Right. Should have asked him to explain in more details. There's a limit to how much we can investigate, you know. Thus they began bad-mouthing their guild master. These guys are hopeless. I feel like I understand their poor guild master. And when they had thought they found something fishy, a hole in a boulder, they drew their swords. It was a nest of giant ants. To say the least, they were surprised. I really want to ask why they drew their swords then. I really want to ask. But it's surprising they've lived this long. And from there, for 3 days, they desperately ran, having abandoned all their things. If I had to say something it'd be, well done, but I'll refrain. Wouldn't the most suspicious things be found around here? Like, in the cave? I asked. No. There's nothing in there. Did you know? They said that a storm dragon was sealed in there. But, without showering once, we searched that place for 2 weeks without finding anything. Wah, idiot. That's not something you should be talking about right now. You see? The one who spilled it is you, Nissan. Not my problem. Ellen suddenly says, causing the men to panic. Well, we had passed each at that time, so I knew. Oh, and it seems that bath culture exists here. I'm planning on building a bathhouse in the city, as well. That aside, you say you investigated that cave, but for what reason? Doesn't seem like they came for treasure, in any case. While shaking his head, and with a sigh, since we mentioned it, we have no choice. The thing is, as Ellen mentioned, the black dragon's presence suddenly vanished, and, I see. I couldn't have known, but Valdora's disappearance caused quite an uproar among the humans. He was supposed to have been sealed, but his disappearance causing such chaos. What to say, he was an amazing dragon. He liked to talk, a great guy all around, however, isn't his influence too great? To have sent someone to investigate building a city this close to the cave, was that a mistake? To say nothing of the fact that the cave's previously abundant magical energy had decreased. An unusual phenomenon we couldn't understand. Right now, its magic levels are average and is no more than a normal cave. Well, it's filled with strong monsters, so it's best not to enter it. No treasure in it either, and not a single ore to be found. Powerful monsters, and no benefit to be gained. If you search around, you might find a thief's gear drop, but nothing major. Doki. Heartbeat. The ore, the cause of that particular predicament, is none other than the one in front of you. Well, it should be fine. They won't know if I don't tell them. But their story continued. Since we mentioned it, we might as well tell you. With such phrases, they discussed many things. Maybe these guys are just good people. With the cave's worth declining, there was no reason to investigate around here. I thought that we'd have to move the city, but should be fine then. In any case, since no country has rights to this land, they have no right to complain. For now, by the way, as you see, we are amidst constructing the city here. Would that cause any trouble with the guild? I tried asking. No, should be fine, I think. Yeah, it's no skin off the guild's back. But countries, yeah, no idea about them. That was their answer. And it's not like I expected guild members to know how countries would react. When I thought that, Shizu, who had been quiet until now, groaned loudly. Goo. Gwaya. It suddenly began.